In 2012, I was at the absolute peak of my angsty years. We're talking no eye contact, muttering, terrible posture. I was 15, and when I was 15, I went down to Orlando, Florida with my dad. You see, he does radio, and there was a big convention going on, and I guess as a reward for helping him out, we went to the new LEGOLAND, Florida. It had launched in 2011 with a pretty big grand opening.
Thank you for coming out to join us for our official launch of LEGOLAND, Florida.
Edgy Eric goes to LEGOLAND right as his interest in LEGO is waning, right as his dark ages are kicking off, and he is underwhelmed by the park. Again, LEGOLAND Florida had opened less than a year ago, and it didn't even feel like LEGOLAND was trying. Of course, there are no pictures of this, because how dare you photograph teenage Eric, but my memory sums up LEGOLAND Florida in kind of one word: barren. This was the dead of summer, in peak theme park time. The park was empty, the rides were shut down, and the attractions that weren't were just fine? I remember feeling like way too old for the park. I bought a Lego set, and we called it a day. Now, I could chalk that experience up to my depressed teenage hormones, if not for other countless YouTubers who have had the exact same experience.
I think that Legoland is more often a ghost town than not, as I would assume that it does have true off-seasons, but even moderate crowds are an absolute nightmare for this park.
Half the park, most of the restaurants were closed, half the shops were closed. That was a normal thing for Legoland.
There really wasn't that much variety. The roller coasters felt the same, and the carnival games throughout made everything feel needlessly congested.
I like the music in that last one. But anyway, that is just coming from park goers. If you look at what's going on behind the scenes of the park, I mean, it's like, oof.
Entertainment staff at LEGOLAND Windsor have already been told that there will be no puppet or pirate stunt show at the park this year.
Merlin Entertainment saying that they were going to be laying off 234 employees in March 2025.
Oh, and what's the company that owns the park doing during all this? Well, they're going on CNBC and announcing they're jacking up park prices.
You don't want to go to LEGOLAND Florida or LEGOLAND New York or LEGOLAND California and wait hours online. And so you take the prices up. It keeps the numbers down to a reasonable number.
Oh, okay.
We're picking fewer attractions and going deeper, so staying longer, spending more at fewer attractions seems to be the trend.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a mandate to grow, to build, to acquire, so it's a really fun time to be part of Merlin Entertainments.
Okay, yes, thank you, CEO of Merlin Entertainment. I get it. Man, that interview is just a cacophony of corporate nonsense. Look, when I think of LEGO, I think of high quality, built to last, great experiences. LEGOLAND, you kind of get the opposite. So what's going on with these parks? Why are they so universally underwhelming? On today's episode, I'm talking with two big theme park fans all about LEGOLAND, Merlin Entertainment, and what happens when a company spreads itself way, way, way too thin. I'm Eric Crittenden, and this is Clutch Power, a show about the ways we love LEGO. Episode 12, LEGOLAND's Lost Potential. In part 1, an interview with Dan Ivertson of Slopes Game Room and Slopes Adventures, along with his pal Andrew Dalton. These guys know a lot about LEGOLAND and Merlin Entertainment, and together we lament the current state of LEGOLAND. In a bonus segment for Patreon supporters only, we turn our gaze to other Merlin Entertainment holdings, as the guys share horror stories from their other parks. It ain't just LEGOLAND that's run down. And in part 2, we zoom in on the state of theme parks in the UK. Look, we're pretty spoiled. We got Disney World, Disneyland, 2 Universals, a whole bunch of other great stuff. The UK, they have Merlin Entertainment. That's tough. This is a great show, and here's the best part. You get in for free. Not like Merlin, who is charging, oh my god, $99 for LEGOLAND Florida? Plus parking. Quick editorial note before I begin here. technically the big theme park management company is called Merlin Entertainments with an S. However, it feels really weird to say Merlin Entertainments, so I'm just going to say Merlin Entertainment or Merlin. So, no need to be pedantic. Part 1. A Lawless Lego Land. I think there's something in all humans that we just love watching things get made. In my hometown, Montgomery, there's a Krispy Kreme with this big window where you can watch how they make donuts. There's like conveyor belts, a liquid sugar waterfall. It is hypnotizing. I imagine people wanted to visit the Lego factory for the same reason. In the 60s, about 10 years after Lego became Lego, the factory in Billund, Denmark was getting 20,000 visitors a year. That's a lot of people. Seems like that would affect production. One of the big draws was this huge exhibit of finished models, not just official sets, but like a whole Lego city. People were fiending for it. They were rabid. They were pounding on the glass, drooling over the buildings, attacking employees. And eventually Lego's CEO said, screw it, let's put the city outside.
Every building here is being made from tiny plastic bricks. Bricks that children themselves use for their own miniature playtime constructions. Millions and millions of bricks are being slotted together to build up this colorful dream world. They call it LEGOLAND.
It was very quaint at first. Several Lego towns they just called Miniland. And honestly, even today, Legoland Billund is really small, like 600 feet across. So it's the perfect spot for this Gulliver's Travels-esque place. But then, Lego got more popular. And in the 90s, which is basically when Lego went, let's try everything, Legolands started to pop up all over the world. Legoland Windsor, Legoland California, Legoland Germany. Like they said in the ad,
stand aside! We're here to measure the fun. You can't measure the fun!
But you can buy the fun. And for €375 million, Lego sold 4 parks to Merlin Entertainment in 2005. And every park that's opened since, from Florida to Dubai, also owned by Merlin. Even beyond Legoland, you've probably been to a Merlin attraction. They own Madame Tussauds, Peppa Pig Parks, Sea Life, and they have, honestly, like a stranglehold on attractions in the UK. Cadbury World, Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, Chessington, even the London Eye, that big Ferris wheel, yeah, that's Merlin. That's a sore spot for Dan Iverson and Andrew Dalton. They're 2 theme park fanatics in the UK, and you might know them from the YouTube channel Slopes Adventures or Dan's larger channel Slopes Game Room. Dan and Andrew hopped on a call with me to tell me some absolute horror stories about Merlin. How would you kind of classify Merlin Entertainment's holdings?
Well, they're definitely more well known for their theme parks, without a doubt. In the UK, they have the monopoly.
Just for reference, that's Dan. You'll hear from Andrew in a little bit.
To the average Joe, they own theme parks, but in actual fact, they probably earn more money now by owning the smaller things.
So just kind of a hodgepodge of stuff.
They don't tend to be people that like come up with the new ideas. They'll buy out other people.
Yeah, well, like you said, they're kind of a management company.
Yeah. And as we go through this, you'll understand our theory on this. They've just spread themselves way too thin. There's nothing wrong with a company buying out another company and looking after them, but they'll buy it out and then they'll buy something else and then something else and then something else. Oh, let's make more of them. And they've spread themselves so thin. Those places that you love to go to growing up that always had that new thing coming, not so much these days.
They're probably what you'd call asset sweaters is probably the best thing. They are notorious, especially in the UK, for basically running attractions past at the point where people would say that needs refurbishment. Merlin would say we've got Legoland at home.
So bare bones and basic.
Yeah.
And it
sounds like that's kind of Merlin in a nutshell, right? Like just bare minimum.
Spend the money on the license, not on the ride.
Yeah.
The thing to note about Merlin is, particularly in the past year, they've massively shifted again, because we spoke to one of the entertainers where they've got rid of so much of the entertainment. They've outsourced so many aspects of the parks. All Merlin resorts now have outsourced all their catering.
Yeah.
It's no longer done in-house. They use a company called Aramark. And what are Aramark famous for, Daniel?
Well, I don't know if they're famous for, but they are known. They're definitely known for being the people that provide food to prisoners. it's another thing. It's all part of that whole experience that we're British. We've got so much history. You could definitely do something really, really cool in a UK theme park, and they just don't. They've outsourced it.
Well, this is the thing, though, going back to Legoland Windsor. One of their restaurants is called the Hungry Troll. And you're thinking, oh, wow, okay, so we can see, like, troll droppings or something, something that seemed like it. No, if you look in it, it's actually a British fish and chip shop, and that's all it is. It's a fish and chip shop.
So there's nothing to do with the troll.
But again, you could theme that in a really cool way and make it like a British thing, inside and upside down, bit of massive plastic Lego shaped square. Like it just seems too obvious to me. Come on. Put some effort in. This is just me thinking on the spot. Think of something yourself. You pay people for this.
Why is it that Merlin Entertainment is just putting in the bare minimum? Do you know?
Because I think it's to them, they just see it as cheaper to get someone else to do it. And the way things are going with Merlin right now, they're letting go a lot of their staff, which is really unfortunate. I mean, we interviewed one of the entertainers at Legoland. Watching live shows at theme parks is a great way to like disperse the crowds and get those queue times down, because I mean they can fit so many people around those arenas and watch 10 people put on a cool little performance. And Lego has got so many brands themes outside of the obvious, your DC and your Marvel and whatever else. You got the pirates and the space, and they could do some really cool stuff, and they did, but let's get rid of that, because the management up top can't see where that's earning them money. They can't see, like, no one's paying to watch that show. It's just on. No one. We could put a fish and chip shop in there, couldn't we, and call it a troll room?
Yeah, it's where they're very short-sighted. They don't understand guest satisfaction. The amphitheaters that they use for these shows, they hold a lot of people for a long amount of time. So you're taking maybe 2,000 people out the queues in the parks for an hour, which overall reduces the queue time, means everyone's happier. But now, you've now dumped all those 2,000 people back in, so you've got 2,000 more people trying to get into queues, meet characters, do all those other things. Wait times go up.
So does Merlin have no entertainment at all now?
It's there, but it is beyond bare bones. I mean, you won't get, like when you go to like Park Asterix, they'll do on a big show of all of the different characters within the Asterix world. And when you go to Weffling, there was this incredible thing they did with all the horses, and because really historic there. I mean, at the most, when we've gone to Lego in the past, you'll see like one person standing next to someone that's doing a Punch and Judy puppet show. But it's only going to take 2 people, maybe 3 people to put on that show, as opposed to a big performance with characters that they could definitely do stuff. They could do it. They could do an excellent little Ninjago section, and my son would have loved to go and see that. That would have been incredible. But
it's not even that, right? If Lego don't want to spend the money licensing, maybe a third-party character, etc. Well, we're the UK. Why not have a Robin Hood land?
Are you going? Yeah, honestly, you go to. It's quite crazy as a foreigner coming over to the UK. When you go to like the big, again, we're talking Disney and all these other ones, you got these massive stretches of highway before you, motorway before you get to the park, and it's all technically owned by that company. Alton Towers and other places like that aren't like this. Like, you are twisting around tiny little villages and all. Oh my God, here we are. This is the theme park. It's right here. It's really weird.
I looked at this entrance to Legoland Windsor, and it was like you hit a roundabout.
Yeah, whenever we do Windsor, a lot of the time we're like, can anyone see where we're going, like that? And then just bang, like, oh my God, we're here. It's always like this big excitement thing for the kids. There's no like big, Legoland's coming, big pictures of like, what, Mickey Mouse or a big Lego man or whatever it may be.
Well, for the ones that you've been to, are they like very different from each other? We keep going back to the Disney but like Disney World, very different than Disneyland Paris, very different than Disneyland California.
When I went to Florida, besides the heat, obviously being a lot better out there, I was like, this really doesn't feel much different at all. The only differences that I can remember is that one ride, the Lego movie instead of Mythica, and there was one ride where you squirt people with guns on a like a water ride sort of thing.
So like if I just plopped you down at a random Legoland somewhere in the world.
Put it this way, like, my son loves Lego so much, and we went to Dubai, was it last year? I think we went to Dubai, and we're looking at all the different theme parks we can go to, and I was like, look, he loves Lego so much, but I can't go to Legoland Dubai because I know I'm just going to be in Legoland Windsor again. but hot. Florida put me off.
Maybe because I was a little bit older when I went to Legoland, and it was all right. I found it a bit. I will say I found it maybe a little bit. I hadn't been to Disney at that point, but it was when we take my niece everywhere, and she was very young, and we took her, and it was all right. It just didn't. It didn't blow me away. I think possibly, again, when I was a kid, I'd seen Legoland in Denmark as this magic, mythical place to go to.
Yeah.
Maybe my expectations were a little bit high. I thought it's fine, but I found it very, very young kiddie. It's very, very young kiddie. It's not even what I call a family park. It's properly, considering Lego has Lego and Duplo. Duplo is aimed at the very little kids. The whole park, in my opinion, almost feels aimed at the very little kids.
It feels very like stuck in like the 80s and 90s of Lego.
When you go to Legoland, out of all the different theme parks I've been to all around the world, all these different ones, I've been to ones in like Spain and obviously Florida and California and San Diego and all these other places. Legoland's the one place you're going to go to and see more parents standing around watching their kids do the thing, or holding their little kid on the tiny little boat ride. You know what I mean? Like, you take your kids there, and you won't find parents on their own there. Almost never.
No, I don't understand. It's what I don't understand, because Lego themselves in recent years has massively exploded in popularity. They're appealing to so many more people, as is demonstrated by all the like Mandalorian sets that the dads are buying and the Star Wars ones and all this kind of stuff. Is the time not ready for Legoland to graduate to being a family park where it does have a proper, intense Lego-themed roller coaster?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Florida, and I think this was like a year or even less after Legoland had opened in Florida. It was just barren. Like, you look around at like the miniatures and you're like, that's pretty cool. But I just don't remember, like, I don't remember any rides. I remember we went to a Lego store and I bought a Lego set. And that's all I remember.
One of the things we always do when we go to, I keep talking about it. Every time we go to Disney, we always queue for the parades. That's just not really a thing. I know like Universal have done it in more recent years. They've done a reputable job. It's definitely not on the same level. Why are we not seeing a Lego Ghostbusters car go along, in the parade with a couple of Lego versions of the characters? Like, that would get the amount of people that would flock to go and see that. You know what I mean? Like, when you get Universal do parades, and in those parades you got obviously ET still there, but they'll have Back to the Future sections and all these other rides that just don't exist anymore, but it's still a core memory for Universal. They could do that in Legoland. You could have parades with, like, obviously Harry Potter-esque stuff, little Lego Harry Potter walking along in a parade or something. It would be so good, but they will never ever do it. I mean, they've just got rid of their live shows.
Well, I wanted to touch so like last January they cut 75% of entertainment staff in Legoland, Florida.
It's painful. It's painful.
Yeah, and so I looked up the statement that they put out after that, because obviously there was some backlash. And I just want to get your thoughts on this statement, so I'll just read the statement here. So it said, at Legoland Florida Resort, we are making operational changes to help us elevate the guest experience in 2025 and beyond. The decision to reduce the size of some of our teams was undoubtedly difficult, but these changes will allow the resort to operate more flexibly and responsively in a competitive market.
It's like the absolute opposite of flexible. It's the absolute. It's when you go and see these shows, like hundreds, potentially 1,000 people. I don't know, like a lot of people are there, and now while they're there, they're not queuing up for stuff. They're proper knocking. You can fill that overcapacity, that theme park, by filling them all up in there, and then other people can go off and do the rides. It's such an obvious thing, and it's the one theme park out of all of them that's definitely aimed at a younger generation.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. That's corporate nonsense. I'm sorry to say, that is absolute corporate nonsense. Reducing entertainment staff in particular is one of the worst things they can do, because the staff, when you're being entertained, distracting you, delaying you from doing things, it's all very clever in the aspect of theme park management, because you aren't waiting in a queue, or if you're waiting in a queue being entertained, the queue doesn't seem to take so long. It's all about the perception of making the guest happy, and entertainment is the life of a theme park. The entertainers are. And that's where
it really is.
That's ultimately where it goes from being a theme park to an amusement park.
But even that, I mean, I've only been to the Legoland in Florida. It felt like, I mean, the theme was just, it's Lego.
But they can do so much more. One thing I've always never understood with Merlin, not so much Merlin, sorry, just Lego in general, when they come to their Lego parks, it doesn't matter what age you are, everyone loves Lego. I mean, I can go and get like a classic Batman Lego set or like an Avengers Lego set or, even like proper, like a typewriter or something like that. It's definitely not aimed for kids. But then there are cool kid areas of pirates and whatever else. And I mean, my son's working on some Fortnite Lego right now. My daughter's got Lego Friends. Like, I've never understood why they don't get licensed Harry Potter or licensed Marvel or licensed DC or whatever else. Like, that would be so good, and they could make something so incredibly unique with that.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. The light at the end of the tunnel is that these places, the rumor is these places are now going to start getting sold off. And I pray that Legoland gets sold back to Lego. I really hope. Really hope, because that would be so good. Lego is such an incredible brand.
And this is the thing, I think looking at it, Merlin have prepared themselves possibly for... They're cutting things back to the bare bones to try to make themselves look more profitable, probably lining the parks up for a sale. And it's a shame because Lego opens itself up to it. I mean, a Lego movie attraction, why has Windsor not got a proper...
Well, they chose Mythica instead. And it was such a failure of this new idea they came up with. I don't even think the shop sells Mythica items anymore. So kids going to go on there like, wow, I want the weird lion thing, and it's like, well, we don't sell them anymore because it was a massive flop. I mean, the ride itself is all right. It's all right.
What's crazy though is the busiest Lego store I've ever seen or been to is actually in Disney World.
Yeah,
the one in Disney Springs
is crazy.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've been to that a couple of times.
The queues to get in there are insane, and that's a store.
And even that has better theming than like Legoland, because it has like the big sculptures.
Oh, you got that Loch Ness thing coming out of the water, haven't you, as well? Yeah.
The big dinosaur.
I remember that as a kid, seeing that.
Yeah, and they have Star Wars characters built out of Lego outside, and yeah, it's cool. But hang on, why Disney doing this for Lego?
Or even, I mean, I think of, I don't know if you've been to the Lego store in New York City.
I have not.
I've been to the one in London, the big one.
I don't know if the one in London's like that, but the one in New York is themed.
The London themed Lego is incredible. The London one is beautiful.
There's a skyscraper. Yeah, it's like, why is this? This is better than Legoland.
But that's quite interesting, because then if we refer to the Lego Discovery Centres, which recent-ish, Lego themselves bought back from Merlin. You've been, haven't you, down to a Lego Discovery Centre?
I've been to 3, I can think of. I think I've been to 3. I mean, they're okay. It's very much, again, it's aimed at children. It's not a for everyone sort of thing. I think that's the one place it would be hard to make it for everyone. 2 of the ones we've been into have really basic, like, shoot the target rides that you go around in that they've put inside the mall or the shopping centre they've put them in. I mean, it really does depend on how much your kids like Lego. Thankfully, my kid does, and we had to like sort of drag him out like 4 hours later. Like, okay, mate, you've done it now. It's okay, but it does feel very bare bones. It feels very bare bones. They one thing Merlin has going for it, I suppose, when compared to the bigger theme parks, is they're quite cheap to get into. These theme parks. I mean, you're going to spend like 30 odd quid to get into them. And these Lego Discovery Centres are not far off that price. And that then puts them in a weird position where you're like, I might as well just go to one of the big theme parks instead of going to this room.
I don't want to imply Merlin has just totally abandoned Legoland. In February, they opened Lego Galaxy in California and Florida, which is a, quote, space-themed land filled with otherworldly rides, snacks, characters, and the Galactic Coaster. And honestly, the Galactic Coaster looks pretty cool. There's the animatronic minifig, nice production design. It's a legit indoor roller coaster. Unfortunately, at the same time, Merlin is demolishing an iconic river ride at LEGOLAND Windsor, so mixed bag. Okay, let's close the books on the first session of the Merlin Entertainment Survivors Group. Up next, if you're a patron, we get into anecdotes. Honestly, if I went through like half of what these guys went through, I would never go to a theme park again. For everyone else, onto the bigger problem of England's theme parks, why they're all sort of humdrum, and the incoming park that's going to shake it all up. Part 2. The Collapse of Alton Towers. There isn't really a first amusement park. They kind of evolved out of European fairs with circuses, freak shows, juggling. You got mechanical rides in the 19th century, which tied in nicely with the World's Fair, and the first one was in 1851, and everyone was like, ooh, hang on, we're onto something here. Then you combine that with what was called pleasure resorts, not sexual, I know how it sounds, like seaside attractions and stuff, and you kind of get a modern day amusement park. The world's first official amusement park, I guess, as an enclosed area owned by a company, permanent attractions, as far as I can tell, is Sea Lion Park on Coney Island in 1895.
The success of Sea Lion Park was overwhelming. In the first few seasons, the crowds could not be controlled. On some particularly busy days, people were renting bathing suits so quickly that the staff had no time to wash them. Instead, guests returning them simply handed their used suits directly to the next renter.
That's from a great Defunctland video all about Coney Island and Sea Lion Park. The link is down in the show notes. Notably, which is probably why it's truly the first modern park, Sea Lion Park charged admission to get in. And just like the World's Fair, everyone saw that and said, we can do that too. The first amusement park in England opened a year later, 1896. It's called Pleasure Beach, and it's actually still open. I went to the website, got whiplash, because like you see a promo for like SpongeBob Land, and then the next slide is a topless ice skater. So I don't know what's going on Pleasure Beach, but they got something for everyone, sounds like. Anyway, once Pleasure Beach took off, a bevy of other parks followed in the UK. Notably, a lot of these came from converted estates. Chessington used to be a mansion, Alton Towers, a historic estate and garden, Drayton Manor, you can do the math on that one. Merlin owns a lot of these theme parks, and I'm not sure if you'll believe this based on the last part of this episode, but Merlin's theme parks are not great. Let's talk a bit about Alton Towers, because that's like the main one in the UK.
Yeah,
it's our biggest, used to be the biggest and most prestigious theme park in the UK by a long shot.
What is the origins of that park?
You know, the good thing about Alton Towers is the fact, you know, when you see Disney, you got the big castle in the middle. You always have like a big spectacle, like, you know, for whatever theme park you go to. Alton Towers has the Alton Towers right in the centre there, and it's a true historical building that was a theme park that, you know, started off with nice humble beginnings and was a true historical place. Really nice old school grounds, really beautiful gardens that you could have a look through. A bit more like what you expect, like your grandparents to take you to, or something like that.
Like I know, Dan, like a Downton Abbey type place.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's the kind of place.
Did you both grow up going to Alton Towers?
Yes.
Well, Andrew did. I didn't really start going there until my late teens. I live to the bottom half of the UK, and Alton Towers is more the higher up.
I lived further to the north of the country. So
Andrew, I'll ask you then, when you were a kid, what was your impression?
There's actually a photo my parents have of my first visit to Alton Towers, and I'm in a stroller.
Oh, wow.
In the car park. And I'm properly little in the stroller, and you can see my face through. It's got one of them zip-up covers they used to have where the face pokes through. You see my face there, and in the background you can actually see the corkscrew, which was their super ride, and that was my first ever visit.
That was probably their first like major, like worldwide noticeable attraction.
Well, it's probably the UK's first proper ride like that.
Yeah.
Really got noticed. But we used to go to Alton Towers quite a bit, and then I was fortunate enough to go to Alton Towers. We used to go sort of every summer, but then as I got a bit older, I went a few more times, and I went. There was a lot of people think of Alton Towers as having almost this golden era of the early 90s, where Dan will know about this, where they suddenly changed tack, and instead of being just an amusement park, they really tried proper theming, which had never been seen in this country before. The Haunted House, which was a proper ride, and you walk through the woods. It had the smoke machines in the ground. It had a score that played. You've been to Disney, you know the kind of thing. And
very standard for other parts of the world, but for us, it was a bit of a new thing. This is an exciting new thing that hadn't really been done to this level.
I was there for the weekend Nemesis opened, the original Nemesis. Nemesis was like no roller coaster you'd ever been on before. It was one of the ones where you hang. Yeah. So you're suspended from the track, but they actually created a proper story behind Nemesis.
Full-on story to it. The actual alien looks like it's part of the tracks. Yeah. It was stunning for its time.
Dan, how would you classify the difference between a theme park and an amusement park?
Go to Alton Towers and you'll see what an amusement park, a theme park turning into an amusement park. No, a theme park for me has always been, don't get me wrong, I love a big new ride, a big exciting ride. And sometimes, I don't even really care for the branding. If it is just, I just want to go on this ride and go and have an extreme look, feel the G-force, or how many loops has it got, or whatever else. But for me, a theme park, I mean, the clue's in the name. I want a theme park to be themed. I want to be transported to that world. I think the closest we have in the UK is probably Legoland. Like you go there, I mean, it definitely could be better, but at the same time, you got to put yourself in the mind of a youngster. When they go there, they love it. They are meeting the Lego Men characters and whatever else. There's so much more than just the rides, and I feel like when you start coming away from that, that's what changes you from being a proper themed park. Like you're transported into whatever world they're trying to bring into you, and it's just a car park with rides on it, which is what I think Fort Park is. It's fine for what it is, but it's just it's an amusement park.
Is a lot of Merlin's offerings more amusement park?
I mean, they've turned more into that. I think, like I said, Fort Park, it literally feels like an extension of the car park. Nothing against it, really, because if you want to go there and you want to go and experience some big fat rides, then, go and have fun. But that's all it is, really. You go there.
Car park.
Yeah, it literally is. For me, nothing beats being in Central Plaza and do I go to Discovery? Do I go to Fantasy? Do I go to Tomorrow? And just being absolutely absorbed when you're queuing up for rides and a story is now being told to you. It's just a better way to make the queue lines longer and make you feel like you're not doing it, but it's actually sucking you into that world at all. Yeah, we don't really have that at Alton Towers.
No, the theming at Alton Towers, as we joke, Dan and I often joke about now, is, and unfortunately it's true, it's a garden shed from B&Q or Home Depot in America next to the ride, and someone's sprayed Area 52, keep out on the side of it. And
they're like shipping containers, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
And like the staff who work in the area may slightly have a themed costume, but it's just a pair of overalls and a baseball cap. That's all they wear.
Yeah. The UK doesn't really have any theme parks aside from maybe Legoland.
There's grains of theming in there, but there used to be a lot more, and they've slowly started pushing it away, I think, bit by bit, due to budget cuts, unfortunately. Because I think when you start taking away the entertainers from these areas, that's an easy way to knock that straight down by a good amount.
It's a shame because the UK isn't great, but Europe is brilliant.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so good.
You don't have to go to we're talking Universal Disney. Let's not talk about them for a moment. But if you go to places like Parc Asterix in France, brilliant.
It's so good. It's so good. I mean, yeah, they really, really go out of their way. And like I say, that we should be the dons of this, because we've got such great history in the UK. I say great, and
the Fantasia Park in Germany is incredible. Steampunk.
Absolutely, it's They are on the level of, we wouldn't say it, but they're either on the level of or nearly there when it comes to things like Disney. They're definitely comparable, without a doubt. And you haven't got to go far for it. From where I live in the UK, I'm right down the very bottom. It's probably only about half an hour difference for me to drive to France and go to Parc Astrid as it is to somewhere like Alton Towers. So it's a no-brainer for me, you know.
Yeah, Merlin, I think notably doesn't own any of those European theme parks, right?
No. When I was a kid, Alton Towers was incredible. I went during what people kind of refer to as the golden era, where these rides were new, the parks were spotless, they were Disney level of clean. Even the theming was relatively good. And yeah, I remember. And I think that's why I'm kind of so jaded towards it, because it was brilliant. But now when you go, I haven't been to Alton Towers for a few years, but I think when you showed me your recent video when you went down with your friends, there's even weeds in the paths. It's just like, really? It's this great... What was the... you went when there was the thing with it, how many rides were down in a day?
It's ridiculous. So there's something to not people realise. So the park opens at 10 most days. And already that's later than, you know, the major theme parks around the world. And I call them major theme parks around the world because Alton Towers is known worldwide, you know, from, you know, some of its history, some of its rides. So I was going to take my son there because I feel like for him it's like the next level up to start getting on some bigger rides. I think the park closes at like 4. So it's like you get there at 10, and when you get there at 10, not all of the rides are open because they're still getting them ready. So, you know, maybe 10:30 will come round and then the rides will start opening up. Like, some will be open, but some won't be. But you're like, come on, guys, get this stuff ready beforehand. Not to sound like that boss, you should come to work ready. But it feels like that. You rock up, you're like, well, I want to go on, you know, the Smiler or whatever, and it might not be open for another half hour or so because they're still testing it for the morning before the day. And I'm like, the park's already open. And then it closes at like 4, and then you're going around, it's like, that ride's gone down, that ride's gone down, that ride's got down. If you go and look up on my secondary channel, Slopes Adventures, you can see my friend, we're queuing outside the Smiler, waiting for it to reopen because it's been closed down, and he's just going through, and almost every single ride is like closed. It's ridiculous. Well, and they go down all the time. Every theme park around the world you go to will have certain rides that are down, but just constantly throughout the day. This is a big thing that's happening at Alton Towers right now, specifically Alton Towers.
What's the ride you went on at Alton Towers, Dan, and it was literally one drop and it was actually...
Yeah, that's Oblivion.
Oblivion.
So one of the tricks that UK theme parks specifically have is they want to be the first to do something. And in this instance, Oblivion was going to be the first drop ride, you know, where it like hangs you over the edge and you just drop down vertical. When you get up that lift hill, you get to the top. When it goes down through the ground, up, and then the ride is over. There is nothing else to the ride. That is the whole ride.
It's like a 1 minute ride.
Not even. I mean, if you class it from the drop, I think it's like, I might be exaggerating, but like 20 seconds or something, like 15, 20. There is, I mean, after you take the suspense of the lift hill, which people will obviously add on, you know, apologizers for Alton Towers will add on. There's nothing else. But they were the first to do it. And it was worldwide excitement because they were the first to do it. And I'm sorry, it's time for it to go.
Yeah.
Like everyone else has done a drop ride, a vertical drop roller coaster, has now done it better. Like everyone. Absolutely everyone.
So are people in the UK at this point essentially just waiting for Universal?
They're coming to
almost everyone except for the hardcore, you know, Alton Towers fans or Fort Park fans that have just gone there forever and therefore, you know, it's part of them now.
I think actually it was probably quite notable is I can't remember the last time I saw a theme park commercial on TV in the UK.
Yeah. Not at all. Not like, you know, none.
Not
actually. None.
Not
or
like
even advertisements online or anything. You do see advertisements on like cereal boxes and you know all that sort of thing to buy one get one free or whatever else. They've knocked them down a bit in recent years, but that's always been their big advertisement, putting them on cereal boxes. You know, everyone gets in, buy one get one free, and then you work out, you end up going, and it only costs you like 20-30 quid to get into these parks.
So even Merlin Entertainment is waiting for Universal, it seems like.
When you say waiting, I think what they're doing is they're altering their business model to realign their business. I think probably to offload a lot of assets And what they're doing is, by making everything look cheaper in the short term, their profitability goes up because their costs have gone down. Because it takes people a while to understand why they've devalued before people realise they've been kind of, for lack of a better word, conned, that the food isn't as good, the entertainment isn't as good. But that will be to make them look more profitable for another company to come in and buy them. I think by the time Universal UK opens, I would not be surprised if we're going to lose a few more theme parks, and in particular Merlin will probably have offloaded their theme park estate, I think.
So they're rushing, really.
Well, they're preparing for Universal, because we know for a fact, Dan, when Universal UK opens, it's going to just change the.
But I really don't know how it's going to go down. We always say that we've never had anything like this, even in the golden days of Alton Towers and stuff like that. If they literally just pick up one of the major Universals from around the world, like Tokyo or whatever, and just plop it in the UK, and it's that level, we've never experienced anything like that in the UK. Nowhere near that level. We've had like pretty decent rides, like I say, Fort Park's probably the one with the closest big rides. I mean, that's got the biggest ride I think it's in the whole of Europe. As a themed theme park, we've never had anything like that. And
well, also, don't forget, most theme parks in the UK are seasonal. Universal will be an all round every day.
All of them, yeah. It's very bizarre that we don't have indoor theme parks like the same way like Dubai does. We just don't for some reason. And like when I last went to Thorpe Park, the amount of times the ride would shut down because it's raining, and the UK, we get rain all the time, like all the time. All those roller coasters are outside. A lot of them would like stop, like we are temporarily closing the ride for whatever because it's raining. You're like, for goodness sake. So I really don't know.
You go to Disney Paris, where the weather, to be fair, Disney Paris weather isn't that dissimilar to where you live.
Not majorly, no.
And they're open 365 days a year.
They are, and they're open a decent amount of time as well, big time. But what I don't. When you're trying to explain to people that have never been to any of the big American theme parks or other ones in Europe or whatever else, how basic we've got it in the UK, they just don't really get it. Like, no, theme park's a theme park, like. But we're about to get one of those major, foreign theme parks in the UK, and I don't know how the UK are going to take it. Like, I think the hardcore theme park fans, I'm going to love it. It's going to be great. But what about the average mum that only wants to spend 20 quid a ticket on to go in? Yeah. Like, I don't know how they're going to take a theme park that's going to charge over £100 to get in each. It's going to be.
I think it's safe to say, Dan, we'll be having annual passes.
I hope so. Like, it's going to be mental that first year, isn't it? Like anyone, but they've got so much potential here. They've got so much potential. I would love for a proper, decent British theme park.
Yeah,
it just seems too obvious to me, but we don't want to spend the money. So it takes an American company to come over and show us how it's done. Obviously. Yeah.
Thanks to Dan and Andrew for hopping on this episode with me. I love episodes like these where we sort of talk about LEGO, but we also talk about other stuff. I learned so much from these topics, and I'm really intrigued with the state of UK theme parks. And I'm definitely going to be more aware of what Merlin Entertainment is now. Again, you can find Dan on his main YouTube channel, Slopes Game Room, which is a gaming history channel with really in-depth documentaries. You'll also find him on Slopes Adventures, where he shows off his theme park obsession, usually with Andrew along for the ride. And thank you for listening. If you want to support the show, please share it by word of mouth. You can tell a friend, you can tell your online LEGO buddies. Of course, following the podcast everywhere is a huge help. It is the same handle everywhere, clutchpower.pod. If you want to step up even more, become a Patreon supporter. Thank you to those of you that have already supported. Honestly, that helps. The more funds I get, the more stuff I can do, essentially. And the more time I have to put into this kind of stuff. If you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to get extra content for every episode. You heard me mention the Patreon bonus act earlier. You'll also get a special digital Lego mock. For this one, it's a nice little vignette of LEGOLAND Windsor, which was a fun challenge of perspective and shading, which is like, it felt more like drawing than Lego-ween. You can see videos of me putting it together on my socials. My name's Eric Crittenden. This has been Clutch Power. Stay connected.